Ladies and gentlemen, I'll start with the following question every single day for the next 4 years. Why didn't Biden begin evacuation? Why didn't he begin evacuation immediately after inauguration? Immediately. Why didn't he begin immediately after inauguration to evacuate Americans? Why? In the comments section, give me your thoughts. In the super chat or live chat, to my super chat, thank you. I can't do this without you. Why? Eric, H526, Luke, hello. Why didn't he simply remove Americans and Afghans in January, in February, in March, in April, and keep the May 1st timeline? We were supposed to be out already. You can't blame Trump. Trump negotiated a withdrawal of Americans. We had to do that. We could not stay. You know those people saying, well, there's only one casualty in the past year. It's just like Germany and Japan. From 1945 until today, has there been anything like this, even remotely close? No, there hasn't. We have 13 Americans, fallen Americans. And now it's 90 Afghans. It was 60 about a couple of hours ago when I did the last live stream. Now it's 90 people. And Biden was working with the T-Ban, fine. And he said, well, please make sure, T-Ban, not to let the I-State or I-State K or I-State L or whatever new subgroup, please make sure that they give people safe passage or that you control. We were relying on the T-Ban to help us with controlling the situation. This is Biden's. These are the adults in the room. Exactly. Out of spite for Trump. And that's the only thing. That's the only reason, ladies and gentlemen. The only reason that Biden was able to wait so long was because he wanted to spite Trump. That's it. All he had to do was remove Americans and Afghans in January. That's all he had to do. That's all he had to do. This is Reuters. U.S. military losses of life in Afghanistan are a nightmare scenario for Biden. Gee, Reuters, you think you'd write that if it were Trump? You want to know the Reuters headlines and the Associated Press headlines for 4 years? And they were the most objective. It's a nightmare scenario for Biden. It's a nightmare scenario for Biden. The New York Times, Afghanistan News, quote, we will not forgive, Biden says, vowing retaliation. Well, that's really good of you, New York Times. What a really, public relations type of headline or title. And he's being propped up still. You had a kind of some momentary disgust with Biden's administration where people said, nah, you know what? This man is out to lunch. And now it's so bad that media went back to defending Biden and kind of propping him up and kind of insulating him or protecting him from the outrage, the level of emotions and indignation and contempt and disdain that he deserves. He is far more cruel than Trump ever was. They said, well, Trump made fun of people. So what? Compared to this incompetent, foolish, arrogant narcissist named Biden, who first of all, it's either he's incompetent and foolish, and everyone around him is simply irresponsible and lacks wisdom, or he's a narcissist who wanted to keep Americans there because he voted alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. He presided over Libya. And I believe I believe he opposed the ending of OBL. Roger Rabbit, hello. And so you have a situation where they're still not. The media now went a little bit too. They were a little too honest the past couple of days. We have 13 Americans who lost their lives. I don't know how many have been injured. We have 90 plus Afghans who lost their lives. I don't know how many have been injured. They're not being allowed back into the airport. The evacuation has apparently stopped. Is no longer happening now. This has gone we are in a nightmare catastrophe. How do we retaliate? We still have to get people out. How do we retaliate? Do you still think this is like Germany and Japan? Imbeciles who know nothing about history? Do you still think we could have just stationed Americans there? You think that, it's because we left? What, they wanted us to stay? They could have done this at any point, at any time the past year, and they were doing this every day for 20 years. And the two people who did this lost their lives, and there are a great many people who will give their lives and lose their lives, strapping you-know-what to themselves. It's an absolute nightmare. Neil, thank you. It's an absolute nightmare. Why didn't Biden simply remove Americans when he had the chance? Why didn't he simply remove Americans when he had the chance? You look at these scenes, and they're absolutely horrific. You look at these photos, and they're absolutely horrific. We are supposed to be the greatest country in the world. We are the greatest country in the world, I believe, still. But we had foreign policy defined by Facebook ads for 4 years. Now we are waking up. Now we're waking up. Now we understand what real foreign policy is. Actual decision making, like the decisions Trump made to get us out of that country in a methodical, strategic, orderly manner. We could have simply abided by the negotiated deal. Instead, we have 3 different groups there. IS, AQ, T-Ban, who knows? Lord knows who else. Lord knows who else is there. And the issue is not whether the country would fall. The country was going to fall, but it shouldn't have happened while we were evacuating. Again, the country was almost certainly going to fall. It shouldn't have happened while we were evacuating. It didn't have to happen while we were evacuating. It didn't have to happen while we were evacuating. There was no reason for that to take place. There was no reason for that to take place. And the only reason it took place is because for 4 years, Trump, with his personality, broke the spirit and the will of morally superior liberal Democrats. And all they did was oppose Trump simply to spite him. Not because they were on the side of truth or reason or logic. They wanted to oppose Trump because that's part of who they are. They've disowned friends. Do you understand? Lifelong friends. I know these wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrats. God bless them. They disown friends because their minds are fried. Their spirits are broken by Trump. They distort everything. He said this. He said this. They care more about words. They care more about Trump's tweets than Biden's catastrophe today. And it's been the past week. And this is only going to get worse. Biden has already presided. Now we have mass evictions coming up because of Democratic Party policies. Go to any Democratic-run city. Go visit Los Angeles, right now. You will see people using the bathroom in the streets. This is a Democratic-run policy. In fact, I think it's an objective. It's one of the policies they like. And it's been happening for a long time. And now, because to keep people safe and to keep and to, sciencey and safe, they tanked the economy in every major city gleefully. Oh, we can't do this. Meanwhile, in Afghanistan, people risk the worst demise known to man. And you have Democrats running cities afraid of their own shadow for things that 99% of the time they'll survive. This is like the world is upside down, completely upside down. And it's because of very weak and inept Republicans who were never Trumpers, who just sided with Democrats. They just sided with Democrats. We should have been out already. We should have been out. We should have already been out. And instead of simply abiding by a negotiated deal, what happened was Biden said, well, I'm just going to go ahead. We're just going to go ahead and stay until September. We're going to go ahead and stay until September. We don't know why. But September sounds good, not May. May 1st, no way. We're not going to stay May 1st. Or no, we're not going to leave May 1st. May 1st is, Trump negotiated that, so it's obviously bad. Trump negotiated that, so it's obviously bad. We can't deal with that. And to spite Trump, what they did was wait, and they had no plan. You can't say that they had a plan. You can't say Biden had a plan or had any idea of what he was doing. You can't say that, it's not really Biden's fault. Well, then whose fault is it? He's president. He's president. The Doha Agreement, also known as the Agreement for Bringing Peace to Afghanistan, is a peace agreement signed between the United States and the Taliban, February 29, 2020. It's not about negotiating with them. Biden's administration was actually begging them to help us evacuate. It was evacuating within a certain time frame. The 4-page agreement is published on the U.S. State Department's website. The provisions of the deal include the withdrawal of all American and NATO troops from Afghanistan. And May 1st, 2021 is the day we were supposed to leave. U.S. President Biden's National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, and he didn't. He said he would initially abide by it, but he didn't. See, even Wikipedia, it's Wikipedia especially, you can't find, it's supposed to be objective, but you'll find little, everything is updated by liberal Democrats, so it's impossible to find the May 1st, 2021 timeline to get out. It's supposed to, I put the links below. But we were supposed to leave May 1st. Here. The Trump administration followed by a full withdrawal May 1st. That's right. So withdrawal of United States troops from Afghanistan. Why? The Biden administration said the U.S. would not begin withdrawing until May 1st and would complete the withdrawal September. Why, though? Does anyone know why? The Biden administration said, however, it doesn't say in Wikipedia just to spite Trump. Why, though? On July 8th, Biden specified a withdrawal timeline of August 31st. Why August 31st? Why not December 31st? Why? What's the difference? The agreed upon deal was May. Agent Pepsi won. According to Captain Depends, Trump is to blame. Exactly. Shane, exactly. It wasn't in America's interest. Exactly. I don't know if this is by design, but it's almost as if nobody could be that stupid and incompetent. So the withdrawal of United States troops from Afghanistan, it doesn't even explain here why. We have no clue why they went from May to September. The deal, titled The Agreement for Bringing Peace to Afghanistan, saw U.S. and NATO forces withdrawing in earnest and setting a timeline for complete withdrawal by U.S. forces by May 1st, 2021. And then the rebuttal from some people, well, the Taliban weren't agreeing to their side of the deal. So then why did we ask them for help last week, this week, yesterday? We were working alongside them. Apparently, we put them in charge of vetting people before they got to the airport. Can you believe this? Can you believe how inept and foolish this administration is? This is not Facebook ads, ladies and gentlemen. They had 4 years. Times were good. 4 years. And they blamed Trump for the global, it was a global issue. More people last year in the United States of America, go to the CDC, go. More people lost their lives from heart disease and cancer. But that doesn't make money for CNN, do you understand? That doesn't make money for MSNBC. You can't derive enough emotions, even though you should be able to. More people lost their lives, lost loved ones to heart disease and cancer. But look at the nature, you could get it. More people lost their lives from heart disease and cancer. Do you care about lives lost? Or do you care about sensational, fear-mongering and paranoia? We have completely frozen our existence. We're completely stunned as a nation. We've lost all sense of the ability to think clearly, because you have half the country yet again apoplectic. We are being held back by half the country who thought Facebook ads stole it from Clinton. And the most popular president, the most popular candidate of all time, the person who would go on these, otherworldly tangents, most likely because the demon inside him was trying to get out. He would be talking and then slurring his speech, and everybody knew this man has lost it. Everybody knew, but their contempt for Trump shielded them and just said anything's better than Trump. Frankenstein! I'm being extra careful with my words to make sure this gets to you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Frankenstein. Thank you. Thank you very, very, very much. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. I hope all is well. Frankenstein, I hope all is well. Thank you. Thank you. Agent Pepsi, thank you. And I appreciate that. The algorithm is... That's another thing. Frankenstein, that's another thing. We as a country cannot speak freely because the consensus of absolute buffoons has controlled our existence. So we are so worried about safety. We're so worried about consensus that we've become unsafe. We are less safe under Biden than we were under Trump. We are lower in terms of standing around the world than we were under Trump. Roger Rabbit. They don't like this country, Goodman. Roger Rabbit. It seems that way. Roger Rabbit, thank you. Roger Rabbit, thanks always for the kind words. Frankenstein, thank you. Agent Pepsi, thank you. All we had to do was leave and then deal with whatever military questions or concerns after we evacuated. Now, we don't know exactly who did what in Kabul. We don't know who committed the atrocities. Was it the Taliban? Was it IS? Was it AQ? Was it the Taliban tacitly giving approval to for the atrocity? We don't know. We have no clue. We have no clue. And this, by the way, is the intelligence community. Remember the revered intelligence community? This country. Trump, he's an authoritarian and a despot. These were the rantings and ravings of childish, immature, petulant, malicious, apoplectic, frustrated fools who just simply wanted retribution. They didn't care. Roger Stone or George Papadopoulos or Michael Flynn, these are not like obstacles. These people are not obstacles to national security. They were set up and framed. Well, I should say Michael Flynn was. George Papadopoulos was. Okay? Whether you lied to Congress or, Manafort, yeah, he broke the law 10 years ago. The people he worked with, Democrats, broke the law also. The brother of Clinton's campaign chairman did the same things, was actually working with Manafort. I mean, it's like they wanted a public relations victory, so they indicted people on process crimes. This was national security to them. They really thought they were in this cloak and dagger, spy novel. And they were protecting the country from Facebook ads, and Russia was infiltrating, and they were on the side of good, and Trump was a traitor. He committed treason because of Facebook ads. Now you've woken up, Democrats, you woken up from bedtime, and you read your little story by Comey and Brennan and Strzok and McCabe, and now, God forbid, things are going to get much worse because they've escalated it to a point where I don't know how we respond. I have no clue how Biden's going to respond. Nothing he does will work, unfortunately. Nothing. Chrissy Beans, thank you, Chrissy. Thank you. Jean-Louis, thank you for the super thanks. I still haven't thanked you yet on the upload. Thank you for the super thanks, Jean-Louis. Your nemesis will cover your retreat and provide rear security if you ask nicely. Chairman Joseph. Thank you, Jean-Louis. Thank you. Thank you, Jean-Louis. Thank you. They simply wanted to spite Trump. That's all they cared about. Jean-Louis, thank you so much. Again, Frankenstein, thank you. I can't do this without you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. That's all they cared about. The evacuation should have begun under Trump. Yes, I agree. But it still would have worked January, February, March, April. We had all of that time before May. So, and it's not like Trump had the media or Democrats or anyone on his, even Republicans. But had he won, he would have had that mandate. And so he had that time. Whether or not it was Whether or not he did it under his tenure or the beginning of his second term, I don't think is that relevant. The fact that it didn't happen is a problem. Experts got us into this situation. Experts are wrong about everything, which is why we have the 37th wave and soon to be the 150th wave. And we have the Afghanistan debacle. And we have evictions and moratoriums ending. The Supreme Court said you can't continue to just, prevent evictions. The consensus of experts is a public relations ploy. You can find a consensus of experts that disagree with the consensus of experts that Democrats cite. You can find a lot of experts that disagree. The problem is immediately a public relations machine will, try to disparage you and ruin your image and get you kicked out of the school you're working in or the hospital you're working in or, the university. And so it's just this finely tuned public relations retribution machine. The consensus of experts is almost always wrong on grandiose things. There was a consensus in Vietnam that we should get in. The consensus of experts. Robert Kennedy agreed with Ronald Reagan in an interview pertaining to leaving Vietnam. The consensus of experts on a lot of things are usually, it's usually in hindsight absolutely wrong. You can look at everything in the past 120 years, from 2 world wars to Vietnam to WMD to the intelligence community, from the Bay of Pigs to the Gulf of Tonkin. WMD's been wrong on everything. And the word expert has been redefined now as anyone who agrees with Democrats and media. An expert who doesn't agree is disgraced, disparaged, not really an expert. In fact, he's just, complete loony. But you look, ladies and gentlemen, and it's like, Bendy. We must save our people. Bendy. Well, we have enough of the second part, here or countries around here. Notice how every, New York Times, CNN, AP, they're protecting Biden. There was more hysteria and rage from the Helsinki conference. Let me read this. Let's read this right here, the Helsinki conference. Let's look at, Trump, Helsinki conference. Listen to this. Trump's Helsinki bow to Putin leaves world wondering. NPR. CNN Trump sides with Putin over U.S. intelligence. Trump met with Putin Helsinki more than 200 days later. Will we ever find out what he said? In Helsinki, Reuters, high stakes and history for Trump and Putin. I mean, everything is, everything was Trump sides with Russia against FBI at Helsinki summit, BBC. Putin's attack on U.S. is our Pearl Harbor. This is this is what they were Politico. No, it's not. No one cares about the Democratic Party. Only the Democrats do. Nobody cares. American lives were not lost because of Facebook ads, you imbeciles. And it's like Donald Trump is nothing short of treasonous. I mean, the Watergate prosecutor compares Trump's Putin presser to Pearl Harbor. So what is today? Because today is one of the worst times in U.S. history. Cynthia, thank you. Cynthia, Ben D. Now look at what happened today, where you have 13 Americans, 90 Afghans lost their lives, casualties. We still have to get thousands upon thousands of people. We're up the creek right now without a paddle. What are they saying now? Are they saying anything about Biden being at fault? Look, I just read you a couple of years back what all the indignation and the outrage of the Putin-Trump Helsinki conference. Now look at this. CNN, U.S. troops and Afghans lose their lives in attack outside Kabul airport. Nothing Biden, no Biden's debacle leads to, nothing like that. New York Times, people who took their own lives also ended the lives of dozens, including 13 U.S. troops. AP News, the Kabul airport, atrocity ends the lives of 16 Afghans, U.S. troops, 13 U.S. troops. Okay. USA Today, latest from Afghanistan. Biden, quote, we will never forgive. Navy confirms 13th U.S. member who lost their life in Kabul. Biden, we will hunt you down and make you pay. You think anyone cares what Biden says about anything? Look at the difference between a conference with Putin, where they expected Trump to say, you helped me with Facebook ads, that nobody ever proved even influenced one vote. Nobody cares about Facebook ads also. Democrats are enamored with public relations and marketing and social media, everything that is meaningless in life. It's meaningless in life. No one cares. Like, at the end of the day, nobody will remember what you tweeted yesterday or today or tomorrow. Nobody is going to care unless they want to hurt you by trying to find out what you wrote 10 years ago. Unless you were also, except if you were a Democrat or a liberal or, dislike Trump, then, you're forgiven. They're not blaming Biden, and it's 100%. The Washington Post, Biden vows retribution. And they show him crying. Nobody cares if he cries. It's all an act anyway. He's a bumbling, stumbling, mashed potato-brained, incompetent, inept career politician who never even made it out of Iowa. Vice President Harris never even made it to Iowa. These people weren't even popular within the Democratic Party. They just needed somebody, two people, anybody, somebody, get me somebody to go up against Trump, and we'll do the rest. Trump broke them. He broke their spirits. He broke their wills. He came in like a ton of bricks and broke them. And this country suffered because media turned trivial things. It is a trivial thing. James Comey's memos are worthless. They mean nothing. You're going to compare James Comey's memos or the Steele dossier or Facebook ads or Peter Strzok saying Michael Flynn lied, which he didn't, to what happened today? This is only, unfortunately, the first inning. Those Americans should be alive. Those Afghans, 90 Afghans, should be alive. Could you imagine if, God forbid, it was reversed? Could you imagine if we had 90 Americans who lost their lives? Then would they blame Biden? 13 Americans who lost their lives. And then people say, oh, it's just like World War II. It's just like, it's just like Germany and Japan. Then you get this nonsense, you get this kind of let's see here. They're always showing emotion. They think that like the average American is like this apoplectic liberal ideologue. Oh, look, he showed emotion. And Trump made fun of somebody. Look the difference. You know who also made fun of people? You know who also is mean on social media? All the tyrants of years past, they all had Twitter, just like Trump. It's a direct correlation. These people are like ignorant of history. Trump signed prison reform and worked to remove Americans from harm's way. I think that this is a nightmare for not only Biden, for the country. We also have a problem with evictions. Okay? So not only have we tanked in terms of foreign policy, and our standing in the world has taken a giant, just nosedive. Supreme Court throws out Biden administration's eviction moratorium. You can't, when it rains, it pours. That's why I say, if you're lucky enough to look at the world and say, okay, thank God, I'm blessed. Focus on your life, your loved ones. Tell somebody you love them, even if they disagree with you politically. Tell a Biden supporter you love him or her. And by the way, they actually cut his mic yesterday. They cut the man's mic. They're not even trying to pretend. They're not even trying to pretend anymore. And now we have eviction moratorium ending. So we might be in a full-scale war by next month. And we might also have evictions. Wow, mourning is back. Democrats have a really poor sense of semantics, so they might have misspelled mourning, M-O-U-R, God forbid. Well, which is what we have families now mourning for today, and then they said, well, look at 600,000 under Trump. No, there's hundreds of thousands under Biden also. And it was a global thing. It wasn't Trump's fault. And Democratic-run states had the worst outcomes. And in Democratic-run states, you'll have the most evictions. So this is what happens when you prop up. This is what happens when you prop up somebody who should never be anywhere near the White House. Joe Biden should have never been anywhere near the White House. Okay, he never at least you could say, well, Trump was a billionaire and he had successful hotels. You could bring up bankruptcies, but that's irrelevant because he still it had $3 billion at one point, and he became president without even being in politics. You're pretty successful in life if you're a billionaire who was the president of the United States of America. Then they said, oh, he said that these people, the horrible people, were fine people. He never said that. It's literally not in the transcripts. The opposite is there. He never said any of that. But see, for 4 years, that was national security for 4 years. That was national security for 4 years. And then Biden says, well, we'll track them down. He put us into this mess. I don't know how he can get out of it. We're in this mess because Biden did not withdraw Americans in a timely manner. He did not withdraw Americans in a timely manner. And so, what happens tomorrow? Apparently, they've stopped the evacuations. So let's see. And to have only up to 1,500 Americans still seek to leave Afghanistan. How are they going to leave? 1,500. How are they going to leave? Because let's see. A C-130 capacity is what? Over 200 people? So you have 1,500. $250 people? So, like, there's 1,500 Americans. How do we get them out? How do we get them out? I just look at, I come from a unique perspective because I know what the left is all about. Like, I know what that political side is. There's a lot of good people. There's a lot of good people. It's not all bad, but it's like a cult. And they're more interested in being morally superior than actually being moral. And they're more interested in the image of being on the right side of history than actually being on the right side of history. They care more about their image, public relations, than actually being on the right side of history. You see this on like every topic. And they're quick to blame. They're quick to blame, but they're not quick to blame themselves. And it's like, how on earth now? How on earth are we going to get out of this? How on earth are we going to get out of this? We still have 1,500 Americans. We still have hundreds and thousands of Afghans who deserve to come. CBS, we will hunt you down. Not Biden. Not Biden is to blame for all that. They would have left Trump to the wolves. They would have crucified Trump. They would have blamed they would have said, impeach him, remove him, make sure he resigns. This is on his hands. Trump has blood on his hands. That's what they would say. With Biden, their hands off, because they know that this is a catastrophe for Biden. And it's only going to get worse, unfortunately. I hope, I pray that's not the case. But I don't see how. I don't see how you can let's see here. It's like, this is like all the may God bless you and may God protect the troops and all those standing watch for America. First of all, it's the left that mocks this type of rhetoric. It's the left that says, there's no God. Atheism is the way to go. My God, that's ridiculous. Then he writes, then he says, this is Biden's speech. We have so much to do. It's within our capacity to do it. Why did you mess everything up, Biden? You could have started, January 21st. You had all of February, March, April. We just have to remain steadfast. Steadfast. We will complete our mission, and we'll continue after our troops are withdrawn to find means by which we can find any American who wishes to get out of Afghanistan. Any American who wishes to get out. Really? You mean they would want to stay? What kind of lie? This is the lie by omission. This is a lie. This is overt lying through deceptive and vapid, rhetoric, you can see what's going on. If they, we're going to help people who, and find any Americans who wish to get out, not who desperately are trying desperately to leave that country, that godforsaken place, just to protect themselves so their head remains attached to their body. No, it's if they wish to get out, we will find them and we will get them out. Nobody trusts this man. I hope he's right, but nobody trusts this man. Nobody trusts this man. I think right now, every day, I fear for what the next day holds. I really do. The intelligence community, the experts, the Brookings people, Brookings Institution, all the New York Times and Washington Post journalists, all the MSNBC, the Adam Kinzingers of the world who think that Trump, by the way, he voted 90% alongside Trump in Congress. All the Liz Cheneys of the world whose father got us into this mess 20 years ago. At what point will people realize that the experts and the most esteemed, dignified politicians and institutions are usually wrong, on the wrong side of history, or continually doing the same things and hoping for a different outcome? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. I'm going to head on out. I appreciate the support, and I will be back. I'll be back in about 5 hours, 6 hours or so. Thank you, everybody. Luke, thank you. Bob, hello. Erica, hello. Thanks, everybody, to my super chat. Thank you so very, very much. Paco, hello. I will see you all tomorrow, everybody. Check out the upload tomorrow. Thanks. Have a great, great evening. Thanks so much.